My name is Drew Garvie, and I'm running for Academic and University Affairs. I'm looking forward to hopefully representing you and making sure that this campus is a better, accessible, more inclusive, student-friendly space. Yeah, I believe in a very active and outward looking CSA. I think that on this campus we've seen tuition fees and elsewhere, tuition fees go up while the quality of education has gone down in terms of class sizes, online courses and whatnot. So in fact, what you're getting is paying more and getting less. So I think the students have a real role in making their voices heard and holding decision makers at this university accountable and bring forward student-led initiatives that reform the campus and making it more student-friendly. I'm firmly committed to accessible, quality post-secondary education, and I think there's immediate things that we can do on campus to make this happen, such as affordable food, lower textbook prices, and I'll get into that later, as well as a large and broad anti-tuition fee or fighting the tuition fee increases campaign. Also making sure that the new development going on campus is in students' interest. This includes more study space for students, and just that students have a say in every step along the way of decisions that are made on this campus. Well, I've been around on this campus for a while now, and I've had the opportunity to participate on various boards representing students as well as community. This includes CFRU, University Center Board, OPERD Board now for 2 years, and I've really learned a lot about how nonprofit board structures and government structures work, and hopefully I can bring that to the CSA. I'm also involved in a lot of social and environmental justice movements and initiatives. This includes, work around immigrant rights and whatnot. Also, for the past 3 years, I've been really involved in tuition fee work and campaigns. So I'm hoping to continue that as academic and university affairs. And I've also worked as staff at the CSA for something called the Canon.ca, which you might have heard of. Yeah, I've been very involved with the CSA, as I've already said, through volunteering for the past 3 years, and I've been actually on the CSA board of directors for the past 3 semesters. So I have a very good working knowledge of the CSA policies. I've also sat on the executive evaluation committee, whose job is to look at the executive and the goals of those executive and where they're going with it, and evaluate reaching those goals. So that gives me a firm understanding of what it takes to be an executive commissioner and kind of the full job descriptions there. In terms of, I've also volunteered with executives and worked with executives in the past through volunteering. So I've had a very close personal relationship or professional relationship with various executives throughout the years. And since I've been on the CSA board, every other week on Wednesdays, we have 5-hour meetings, 4-hour meetings, and this just proves my commitment to the organization and representing students' interests. As I've said, I'm very committed to quality and accessible post-secondary education. And I think the way we get there is through broad campaigns that bring in a lot of students, and this would include a strong tuition fee campaign. This is necessary just because students are stretched to the limit. The average undergraduate student after 4 years graduates with $30,000 in debt. Tuition fees have gone up far faster than the rate of inflation. They've gone up 200% since the early 1990s, and things are headed in the wrong direction, so we need to help do our part to stop that. Also, there's things that we can immediately do on campus to help with the accessibility of education in terms of getting students to know that there is needs-based funding available, and also increasing that needs-based funding, so we need to look at that. There's other ways that we can help students immediately in terms of affordable food on campus. There's different ways we can go with that. We can look at hospitality and offering some lower prices and holding them to their promise of competitive food prices, when in reality paying $8 to $10, sometimes $15 for a meal on campus is just not in the budget of a lot of students. We also have a student-run eatery, the Bull Ring, on campus, undergraduate students. So we should look at making affordable food options available for them there as well. Also for lower textbook prices. Textbooks have actually been the fee that's increasing the most for students over the past few years. So we need to look at ways we can reverse this. And some universities have been coming up with policies and encouraging professors towards certain practices that will reduce textbook prices. This includes getting professors to sign on to open source pledges. So when it is a possibility that professors will use open source materials. Also ordering unbound textbooks might be a possibility, or such as the universities like the University of Windsor has like an actual campus-wide administration-run initiative, although it was brought forward by students as well, to encourage professors to really think about the materials that they're ordering and what effect that has on the students in their classroom. Also, in terms of a sustainable campus, I believe in environmental rights and making this campus as sustainable as possible, and doing our part to help combat climate change. Things like bottled water, and actually just last night, today's March 2nd, at the CSA board meeting, a motion was adopted to remove bottled water from the Bull Ring, which corresponded to an overwhelming majority of students voting in a referendum last spring to remove bottled water from our student-run restaurant, the Bull Ring. So I think we need to now take that, and what we decided at last night's meeting is that the position that I'm going for, the academic and university affairs, as well as the external commissioner, would be working together to try and make the whole campus bottled water free. And this has been going on in other universities with a lot of success, and it's really picking up steam, so hopefully we can make things happen at Guelph as well. Other things in my platform that I'm not going to get too into, but I'm sure you can find me on Facebook or look at my posters, and there'll be other information in terms of getting into the other points in my platform. But working with other unions on campus to ensure quality, accessible education, such as our TA unions and whatnot. We share a lot of the same goals and aspirations for what our education should look like. Increased library hours has been an ongoing, something that CSA has been looking into that we can still do work on. And making sure that students know their academic rights, and also making sure that underfunded programs and cuts that are happening in programs are properly communicated to students, and students' voices are properly communicated to decision makers. I think students need to be more involved and see their CSA being more active for two main reasons. One is that we can't really affect positive change on this campus without a large number of students behind it, just because there's power in numbers. And also, students have the initiatives and see the problems on the ground in terms of what our campus and education is looking like, so they need to bring those things to the CSA, and the CSA needs to be actively soliciting that feedback. So breaking the CSA bubble is an important thing that I would be looking at, and this can be done in a variety of ways. I think you need to go beyond, kind of a my door is always open approach. My door will be always open, don't get me wrong, but maybe things like posting my cell phone number is something that I'll do, and actively soliciting feedback, as well as going to college governments and to special status groups and getting feedback. Also CSA clubs. and really being proactive instead of just saying, come into my office for 2 hours once a week. Sometimes you need to go out there. Students don't have the time to walk into your office all the time. Sometimes you need to go out and solicit that feedback, which I will really try to do. Also organizing regular town halls when there's decisions coming through the pipeline from going to senator to BOG or whatnot, and decision makers, making sure that I have all the information and opinions that students want to express, as well as getting students to showing students how to have their opinions and views and concerns addressed within the system. Also, by following the CSA's anti-oppression mandate, I think it's very important to make sure that marginalized voices are heard on this campus. So really providing a space and making sure that I myself am accessible and actively soliciting the feedback from marginalized groups on this campus. Yeah, I think there are weaknesses within the administrative bodies and decision-making bodies, and a lot of this has to do with the amount of votes and amount of say that students have at these various hierarchies. But the good news is there are things that we can do about it as students, and ultimately, administration is supposed to represent the public, who are in fact the taxpayers, and this is supposedly a publicly funded institution. So holding them accountable is an important thing, and I think it's something that students have a real desire to do. I think that there's always been this argument about, are students apathetic? I don't believe that's true. I think that students a lot of the time don't know the avenues, and quite frankly, it's a very complex maze to learn, and it takes a few years to actually get your head around it. So I'm hoping to try and make the system easier to navigate for students with concerns, and also helping them and acting as a resource in order to do that. Thanks to the Canon for doing this interview and getting this information to students. And thank you for watching this video right to the bitter end. That means you're a committed and determined voter, and I hope you vote for a committed and determined nominee like me. So, voting is from March 14th to 18th, and I look forward to meeting you on the campaign trail. Look for my posters, and they'll have information on there about Facebook and website, and you can look at my full platform. And if you have any feedback, please come up to me if you see me on the campaign trail, and my email will be on the posters as well. Thank you.